Alright, SP here once again. And today I'm going to be covering a fairly nuanced topic. Don't know yet what I'm going to call this video, but this is the basis of what we're talking about. As a gun owner that owns a, whatever you want to call them so you don't get your friggin' panties in a bunch, modern sporting rifles or fucking whatever you want to... AR-15s, AKs, detachable magazine rifles. Well, I'm not covering battle rifles in this, just because generally a lot of battle rifles only have surplus available, and that's fine, because generally it's pretty good stuff. Like the G3 mags are pretty good. But yeah, so should you buy, if you own an AR-15 or an AK, should you buy a new production magazine that may or may not be military grade? Some claim to be, some are definitely not. Or should you buy military surplus that's, been proven, it was a military adopted design, but maybe nowadays they're a little bit worn out? But yeah, so let's get into it, and we'll see what the differences are. Let's start with something everybody should own, or should at least know about. AR-15, America's favorite rifle magazines. Should you buy new production or surplus? Well, it depends. And why I say that is, a lot of people will criticize the STANAG magazine, and rightfully so. Early ones like this one, this is a pretty early one, it's got the green follower, and we'll show you why that's not a great thing here in a moment. Early ones had some issues. You'll hear about sports. You're supposed to slap the base plate to try to get the spring to pop back up if it's not. You'll hear about that. Now, generally, nothing is wrong with the construction of these magazines. As far as they're aluminum, they're stamped aluminum, they're lightweight, they're pretty strong. Not the strongest, but they're strong for what they are. Feed lips could be a little thicker. But if you replace the follower, why this follower is no good is because it does this. And yeah, a tilting follower in STANAG mags is not... there it goes, popped it back. Is not a great idea. I don't like how the G3 follower really tilts either, but it's never really been a problem for whatever reason in that rifle like it is in stoner rifles. Yeah, with modern mags, this is which gen is this? It should say on it somewhere. This is a Gen M2, but it's a windowed. So this is a PMag. I have so many of these, I just grabbed one at random. That's the windowed version. And it's plastic. There's not a lot of metal in this magazine. In fact, only the spring, I would bet, is metal. However, that's not as big of a deal on a stoner rifle or anything that uses STANAG mags as it is on something like, per se, an AK magazine, where it's depending on thin lugs. This has a one locking point into the gun, AR-15s or anything that takes STANAGs. So it's pretty deep. You're not going to shear this out easily, at least. If you shear it out, then damn, you're strong. So that's fine. The biggest upgrade, and why like around 2012, 2016, everybody loved these fucking magazines. In all honesty, I think the aluminum GI mags are much sexier. But everyone loved these so much because they were one of the first STANAG type magazines with a stable non-tilting follower, and that improved reliability very much, dramatically, in AR-15s. But yeah, you can actually see the label from where I bought this at. When did I buy this? This is old. I bought this when 14. I bought this way back when, I think around the first panic buying ordeal around, I think 2000. I want to say 2013, 2014. But it was back during the the big mess of that time. You know, it's not gotten any better. Well, it got better for like 5 years, and then it went exactly back to shit again with the market. But anyways, yeah, so with AR-15s, your best bet, or if anything that uses Stanag mags, let's say you have a Scar L, actually do not run Gen 2 PMags in your Scar L. You'll fuck the bolt catch up because these don't have a shelf that prevents over-insertion on Scars, which is not great. I wish I had a Scar L. Maybe one day. I really want a Steyr AUG, and I almost bought one over the Sam 7, but I couldn't find an AUG that was reasonable, and everyone wanted to add on an extra $100 basically to ship it. So I went with the Sam. That and AKs are my favorite rifles. But yeah, so definitely I would err on the side of buying new production AR-15 magazines if you're wanting something that you trust your life to. OK Industries makes a very good. Actually, they're discontinuing production, which is really sad. They make a good non-tilting follower Stanag mag. C Products makes pretty good non-tilting follower Stanag type magazines. They also make them in weird calibers, like 6.5 Grendale. And you know what? I'll say it, and people will hate me for this, but 6.5 Grendale is a badass cartridge. It's really sad that it's like went nowhere. It's like the perfect intermediate round. If you like the perfect rifle, in my opinion, would be something like a Galil receiver, the Steyr AUG barrel changing mechanism, the long stroke gas piston system of like an AK, and then in 6.5 Grendale with 35 round magazines, and then like a collapsing and folding stock. And maybe split the receiver on the Galil receiver so it has a hinge pin system like an H&K or an AR. And then you wouldn't be dependent on the dust cover to hold your optics for zero. And you would essentially have the apex as nice as you could make the Kalashnikov system. But anyway, that's besides my point. Maybe one day I'll design something like that. I don't know. But that's the ARs, the stoner pattern, Stanag, whatever you want to call it. That's what's up with them. Buy new production on them generally, unless you just want to have some old historical mags. Now you can change the followers out. I believe the Magpul followers will actually work in Stanag, which I might actually do after this video. I have some Magpul followers. I might throw that old green one out. Even though this mag's not been all that unreliable, I've had maybe one malfunction out of it, and that was just because it was really dirty at one point, and I think it was gunking up. I think I had a malfunction out of the Colt with that one. But yeah, so let's move on to AK magazines. All right, we got some interesting examples here. I need to buy some more Circle 10s. I have like 3 Circle 10 pattern mags, but I couldn't. They're in my friggin' gun case, one of my gun cases, and it's in the friggin' closet under a bunch of shit, and I didn't want to dig it out. So I got one of these like knockoff Circle 10s, and I'll talk about that in a minute too. So should you buy surplus AK mags or should you buy new AK mags? Well, let's look at the surplus option I got sitting here. This is one of my favorite magazines. Look at that beautiful blue. I mean, it's got some specks of rust on it, but it's from 59, so what do you expect? It's got this beautiful finish. Just unimaginable. Beautiful welds. And you can see it's been battered a little bit, especially there by the front lug and in the middle of the magazine. If you actually look on the spine, you can see the spine's been kind of dented in some places. Now, I bought a bunch of these at one time these were the dent specials from What a Country. And they advertise them as mostly Polish, which most of mine are. I got one Russian Tula, which was really cool. And I got some East Germans and some Hungarians and Romanians too. But mainly Polish magazines. Mainly late 50s, early 60s Polish magazines. Very early production like this one. Because later Polish mags would be painted. And would have the later like hollow lip area there, and then would have the rib stop right there instead of go all the way to the top. But you'll notice even though it's dented as shit on the outside, this follower still works fine. I've shot this magazine, like I've probably loaded it and shot it at least full, probably like 20 times. This is like one of my, and multiple different rifles. This mag's been in Mac 90s. It's been in Friends Vepers. It's been in the Sam. It's been in multiple Wassers. It's been in everything. It's been in a friend's Sega too, and it fed in all of them. No problem. And yeah, these are a really good deal. I believe What a Country had these for like $12.99. They might still have them, and I can't recommend them enough. Yeah, if you do get one that's dented to the point it's impeding the follower, you can simply take a long shaft screwdriver and a 14 millimeter crescent wrench, or not a crescent wrench, a fucking regular wrench, and stick it in there, and you can use the leverage of the screwdriver on the wrench and pop dents out. And I've done that on the like the Romanian ones I got that were kind of dented to where they weren't letting the follower be as smooth as it should be, and now they work 100%. So the steel stamped AK mags are pretty easy to fix if they're just not like completely crushed or something. Now, if you want to keep the reliability of the steel magazine, but you don't want to pay a premium for new condition ones, or you don't want to gamble with these dent and scratch specials that places have from time to time, then you got this option. These are the new production Bulgarian steels. AKOU store sells these. Believe Gun Mag Warehouse sells these. A lot of places sell these. I believe these are manufactured by ISD in Bulgaria on the older Arsenal tooling that used to make these, because Arsenal went to what that's a ripoff of for their guns. So what this is, people, I'm guessing military customers of Bulgaria did not want to pay ass prices for Circle 10s because they are very expensive. So I imagine this was offered up by SD as an alternative. And the only way this differs from the older Bulgarian communist air magazines is it has a polymer follower, which is not a big deal, and it actually decreases the weight. And you can see it's got a polymer retention tab button too. Non-tilting like all AK mags. Still, this is a very reliable magazine. I've had no problems with these in a lot of different guns. If you're going to buy new production AK magazines, unless you're spending like money for Circle 10s, get those. Otherwise, stick to surp. Now, I'm going to cover all the Bulgarian commercials because I have some slab side Bulgarian commercials too. This is what is called a quote-unquote red mag. And these are made by a company, I want to say ISD, or some kind of molding firm in Bulgaria. They might be ISD, produces these. And you can see it's missing like the fifth line down the middle. So I guess that's like keeping them from being sued by Arsenal in Bulgaria. You'll notice they have the similar floor plate to the Bulgarian commercials, except for they put a little silly star on it because it's supposed to be a red mag. I don't know. It's got this bright red follower and retention tab, which is really strange. Don't know why they chose that choice. Notice it's got made in Bulgaria and then in Cyrillic on the bottom. Bulgarian is a weird language. Like, I can speak a little Russian and Polish, but Bulgarian is I don't know what any of that says. I could sound it out, but I don't want to. You'll notice it does have metal reinforcing tabs in the front and the rear, and it does have, if it'll focus, hold on. Yeah, it might not work. It does have steel reinforced feeding lips too. Now, the problem is it's not solid, like forged piece end caps. It's just a steel, stamped steel that's over a polymer lug. So it's like an armor-plated polymer lug. And it's the same up front. And yeah, it probably is fine. Like, I've tried to knock to break that tab with a mallet while it's in a gun, and I couldn't. It's probably fine. It's just not a Circle 10. And these are excellent for just having these backup mags that weigh nothing. Like, these are reliable enough. I would trust them. And if it was like an all-out fucking Fallout Mad Max scenario, I would use these as disposable magazines. These Bulgarian commercials, I would kick them out of the gun, and then unless it's like a life or death situation, I wouldn't care if I left them. But they are reliable, and they are affordable, so they're a good option if you don't want steel mags. However, I would just buy surplus for 7.62 AK mags. No reason not to. It's a different story with 74s and 5.56 AKs. But for 7.62 by 39 AKs, there's no reason not to just buy surplus and clean it and make sure it's working well. All right, but what if you have a 5.45 by 39 AK? What if you're a fucking millionaire and can afford what 74s cost nowadays, apparently? Well, you got several more options and several colorful options. Well, you get Bakelite with 7.62 mags too, but God help you if you want one of those right now. But let's talk about what you can do with what you get with 74 mags. This is probably my worst example. Sorry about that cut. Yeah, this is probably my worst example. This is a Tula Bake 74. It's a fairly late production. I do not know. I wish this mag could tell me its life story, because it's sunburnt or chemical burnt on this side. I don't know if it was in a fire or if it was cooked a little too long in the industrial oven, or if it was sitting out in a field, which is what I'm suspecting, and just baked in the sun for weeks on end. Because if you'll notice, the steel lugs, the reinforced forged lugs, you can see that good one there. They are very corroded and nasty looking. I've repainted them, trying to keep them from corroding more. And you can see how worn the feed lips are. This magazine still works. It's fine. This actually came out of the fucking broken ones that Mocha's Rayfus had. He sent me. I paid like $5 more, I believe, and I asked him to like give me the best one out of them, and I think that was one of the better ones. But it works. Generally, if you're paying like under $30 a bake, like I think these were, actually $35, expect that they might not work. That's the thing. These are a gamble. The Bakelite material gets kind of brittle if it's frozen. It's a very tough and like unmelting plastic. Like it burns, it doesn't melt because it's got asbestos fibers in it, and fiberglass and wood flour, all kinds of weird shit, and formaldehyde. But yeah, so $35 in the 74 world will get you these. These may not be in good shape though. This one feeds. I don't know how many that are in this kind of condition would. Much better option for whatever reason seems to be plums. And this is a beautiful. This is like a $45 plum. It's a Izvesk. And it's got, of course, all the steel reinforcements. It's made out of plum nylon. The nylon material, these are made out of polyamide. I think it's, oh God, I forget. It's nylon reinforced polyamide. It's beautiful in the sunlight. It turns this like vaporwave fucking purple, pink color. And oh my God, it's incredible. At the end of this video, I'll actually go get a light and I'll shine it through this so you guys can see what I'm talking about. These are your best bet for 74 surplus, in my opinion. They're about $45 a mag. That sounds horrible, I know, but they're bomb-proof. And they're great. They're more durable than the bakes. I think the bakes are maybe a little bit more sexy if they're pristine. But if you're like talking about beat to shit bakes versus nice plums all the way. What if you want a new production and a more reasonably priced 74 mag? Well, there's not many options. You get the Bulgarian commercials, which I just talked about in 7.62, and those are great. Those are great for disposable defense mags. If you want something a little different, there's these. These are made by WBP, I believe, or these actually might be made by FB. They look more like an FB mag. They're labeled V Project. I do not know who made them, but they're for the Tantal, so that means they fit all 74s. I left this one loaded so you can see how 5.45 by 39 stacks up in a magazine. Now, the eagle-eyed among you will notice there is no reinforcements in this magazine. None. The idea here is it makes it cheaper, but these are made out of polymer, or what is it called? Polycarbonate. Same thing like riot shields are made out of. It's supposed to be an extremely expensive and tough polymer. I wish these had steel reinforcements. They'd look even cooler if they had a steel skeleton, which that's kind of sucks why they don't. These are very sci-fi. The 5.56 versions of these are great in my Sega and Sam. I like these. I can't call them an end of the world magazine because there's no reinforcements. I do think Poland has an excellent idea of aesthetics because that is a cool looking fucking magazine, especially in a Tantal or a barrel AK rifle. But yeah, I would go for the plums, on all honesty. Surplus plums, as long as they were in B or A condition, not fucking falling apart. Which I've never seen bad plums, so. Yeah, that about does it. I could talk about G3 mags, but they're so across the board. Most of them are surplus. I don't know anybody producing new G3 mags or set me mags. And that's fine because there's so much surplus of them that they're dirt cheap and the surplus works fine. So there's no issue with that. But anyways, yeah. So in conclusion, AR-15s, new production magazines, 7.62 AKs, new production Circle 10s. And if you can't do that, get Polish steels or just military surplus steels and clean them up and make sure they're not dented to where they don't work. And for 74s, I'd recommend plums over everything. I don't think it's worth paying what Circle 10 wants for a 74 mag, like $60. Yeah, just get the plums. All right, so this has been SP with a gear comparison. I don't know what I'm going to call this series, guys. Maybe I'll make a poll on Twitter and you guys can fucking tell me what you want me to call this. For now, it's just gear overviews. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I'll go get the light and shine it through this this plum mag so you can see how plum looks in sunlight. Alright, as you can see the steel skeleton. And then the neon pinkish hue these plum mags have.